Okay, now it finally works. Hold on, you guys. Hope you can see this. Good morning. Let me double check what's going on. I just realized. Good morning, Hans, Rija, Santugas, Tosh, Kumart, and Amu Kimin. Good morning, guys. Hi. Good to see you. I'm double checking what's going on because yeah, hold on a second. This is supposed to be one that's popping up. We will be doing a reading today. First and foremost, welcome everyone to session 50. For some reason, the chat box is not showing on Instagram, so 1 second. I need to double check this. Okay, there you go. Alright, now I can see the chat box. Hi! Good morning. So, welcome to session 50. Alright, for today's stream itinerary, we will have some greetings, conversation practice, questions, comments, concerns, and suggestions. Good to see that some of you guys are here today. Awesome. So we can have a conversation. Alright, so some greetings. How are you guys? I'm excited to see people are here. Also, good morning, Hans. Good to see you. How has everyone been? I'm excited because we're all here together. We have an interesting conversation to talk about together. Hopefully, this will be engaging for you guys. Maybe it'll answer our curiosities. Because last week we had a very interesting topic, and this is a continuation of it, so I didn't get to continue that till now. So, yeah. Has anything interesting happened for you guys this past week or so? If you'd like to share. For me, I have no work today, so I'm very excited. I have plans to hang out with friends in Los Angeles today. It actually so happened that we did not plan. Well, I did not remember that I had a day off on Wednesday. They just told me there's a holiday, an observation at school. So I will not be coming in today, which is nice. And I was also telling my colleagues, like, how nice would it be if we changed the education system and we had 2 days we go to school, then take a break, then go again 2 days for school as well. And I'm like, why can't we do that? I would love if we could just like relax and just have 2 days of just like working hard and the next day just off, and then 2 days of working hard again, and then on Saturday and Sunday 2 days off. It's nice to have breaks in between. I think it's just because of COVID, you know. Ever since that happened, it's just like mental health has become super important to me, and I've been really keen on just like taking care of myself, and I feel like it should be the same for everyone too. Like you guys just deserve to like take a rest. School can be exhausting, you know. So yeah, why can't we just change the system and do that? I don't know. That's just my suggestion or my thoughts on it. College is better in terms of that because you get to choose your classes, so you don't have to stay in school the whole time. It's more of a choice now. It's kind of like I wish that schedule was able to be adapted in like K through 12 or something like that. I don't know about kindergarten and preschool, just because I understand they're kind of like daycares for the kids as well, so it makes sense. So yeah, those are my thoughts, at least. Okay, so I don't see anything happening in the chat, so if you'd like to say anything, feel free to type there, and then I'll read it aloud with you guys. And then we're gonna go ahead and move on, because I'm also checking my tablet right here just to monitor that everything is working fine. Last night, the Instagram live video went down. So yeah, it was like towards the end. But I decided to end the stream right there because I was like, okay, it's a good sign. I was getting tired and I might as well sleep, so I did that. Hans said, choosing your schedule feels so nice. It is, yes. Like having the power to choose your own schedule actually feels really empowering. I agree with you. All right. We are moving on to conversation practice, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So we are reviewing a little bit of what we covered last week. We talked about midlife crisis or late life crisis. Actually, yes. Yeah, this is the newest one. So life crisis. We're reviewing what life crisis is defined. If you guys have not watched the previous video, I think it was session 48 or yeah, session 48. No, not maybe. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Maybe it was like 46, 47, 48. Whichever it is, it's the one where we talked about quarter life crisis, which is actually quite common for my age. And those of you who are like, I even consider quarter life crisis happens at 18 because that's usually when serious stuff takes place. And for this conversation, we are looking at midlife crisis or late life crisis. So this happens right like around when you're 50. But first, let's review what the definition of life crisis is, since it's been a while. So life crisis is an umbrella term describing a person's psychological response to major life changes or events. The American Psychological Association defines it as a time of distress and major adjustment associated with a significant life experience like a divorce or death of a family member. So it's not just limited to a divorce or death of a family member, just so you know. It can also be considered like huge changes in your job. For example, let's say a company that you worked in for like 20 years shuts down. What are you going to do next? So it could be considered something like that. So it's something of a major life adjustment. Another one could be like, let's say, you know, as you get older, sometimes your body doesn't do certain things anymore. So like, for example, for me, I'll use an example from when I was younger. I used to be a really fast runner when I was in my middle school days, and I joined like cross country. I could run like 7-minute races, and I could just run for long durations because I guess my middle school kind of just drilled it into me to get used to that kind of life when it came to exercising. After high school, I pulled both of my Achilles tendons, so both of my feet, if I jump suddenly, I can pull the muscle and I would start limping. So I cannot run like I used to anymore, which is kind of distressing. If I had chosen a life where running was really important to me or jumping was important to me, but I don't really care about it, so it has not been such a huge impact on my life per se. So something like that. So if you experience something similar to that, so if you were like a star when it came to track and field, for example, and suddenly you got an injury that prevents you from doing so, that could be considered a major change or a major life change in your life. Because that's something you gotta cope that you can't do what you used to love, you know? Okay. We are gonna be reading, sorry, this is a midlife crisis now, so this is a definition of it. Last time we talked about a quarter life crisis. This is a midlife crisis. So what is a midlife crisis? The definition of a midlife crisis is a period of transition in life where someone struggles with their identity and self-confidence. It happens anywhere from 40 years old to 60 years old, and affects men and women. A midlife crisis is not a disorder, but is mainly psychological. That's actually quite a huge, actually, it's a very huge, like, segment of your life between 40 to 60. That can be kind of scary, you know, because you, as far as I remember watching videos on YouTube and reading, usually sometime when you are in 30, that is your established age, right? So, I've been reading a lot of stuff to help me like calm down when I was in my early 20s and I was experiencing my own quarter life crisis. So I remember that people were saying that when you're in your 30s, your new 20. What they mean by that is that your 20s is you're still kind of confused. You don't know what you want to be in life. It's kind of the time where you're experimenting. So you have just finished high school, for example, and you're probably introduced to the real life world, and you got a taste of that when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, maybe the first 4 years. So the first 4 years are very exciting. When you turn 21, that's when you're like, oh my god, you can, like, for example, in America, 21 is the age limit to drink alcohol. So it's a new chapter in your life where you can have fun, be the life of the party, etc. And that was just another year of excitement. I would say from my 21st until my 24th, I had gone to parties, I've been drinking here and there, not excessively, but I drank enough to black out, and I'm just gonna be blunt about it because I feel like that's like the life of what 21 to 24 is like for me. But as I got older, it was like I'm over it. I don't want to drink and black out anymore. I don't want to get sick from drinking too much. So 25 is around the time where you're like, okay, I'm kind of established myself a little bit, but you're still not sure where you're going in life. And it's not until like your late 20s, maybe early 30s, that you are starting to have that foundation where you're starting to get comfortable in life. You know what you want. This is okay. And 30s is just like, you already know who you are, you know what you like, because you learned a lot in your early 20s, or sometime between your 20s, early to late, you know? So it's like, it's a chance for you to really just know who you are and like see the kind of person you are and what you want in life, etc. So 30 is like that time period where you're good. Like, you should be settled in your life. You should know what you want at this point. And it's just like when you jump to 40, it's like you expect that you would still have it. Like, you know, this is what you want. But according to this, a midlife crisis, your 40s to 60 could be another opportunity or like another event in your life where you're just like not sure, like what's happening. Like, you're starting to question yourself, and it's just kind of it's a little bit frustrating, but also it is quite soothing or assuring to know that you know, feeling doubt is a common experience throughout life, and I think that's just like something we just have to deal with. So as you guys know, I am not 40, nor am I any age closer to 40 or 60, so I can only observe from my parents who have already experienced their 40s to 60 midlife crisis. I can only read from articles to kind of just educate myself, as well as for you guys who are listening and watching this stream today. So I think it'd be fun to just read an excerpt of it. So last week we had an excerpt where we read the quarter life crisis reading, and we spent majority of that session just reading that, and the following session after that we talked about the questions for it. This one, we will try to read this and discuss while reading as well if we have time. I did prepare some questions for the midlife crisis, so no worries about that. And if we don't finish it, we can continue doing the questions for midlife crisis tomorrow, so it's really not an issue. Okay, so we will be reading something called 4 Signs of a Midlife Crisis and Tips to Help You Cope. And I have it right here for you guys. So I found this through Google, and they showed this through an app called Calm. If I remember correctly, Calm is like, I think it's like a mental health app. It's supposed to help you. It's like a resource for you in terms of just helping you with understanding a lot of mental health issues or events that take place. So they said this is going to be an 8-minute read. Apparently this article should be it should be accurate, at least what's it called, in terms of information, because it was clinically reviewed by Dr. Chris Mosinek, who has a PhD, RD, CD, CES, and MBA. So hopefully this article is valid, and this is something of his field of expertise. And I think the fact that they show this box just kind of tells you that it can be perceived as a valid and trustworthy article. So we are going to explore what it means to experience a midlife crisis, as well as the signs and causes, plus tips on how to effectively manage a midlife crisis. I'm gonna try to zoom in a bit more so we can read this together. So the first thing, what exactly is a midlife crisis? What are the signs of a midlife crisis? Possible causes of midlife crisis? How to deal with a midlife crisis? Or 7 tips to help you cope? And midlife crisis FAQs. So, experiencing a midlife crisis can feel quite daunting. You might find yourself questioning your life choices or feeling unsettled or uneasy. Understanding what a midlife crisis is, the possible causes, and how to navigate it can make a significant difference in helping you cope. What exactly is a midlife crisis? A midlife crisis is often seen as a period of self-reflection, questioning, and emotional turmoil that can come in middle adulthood, usually happening for people in their 40s and 50s. The journey through a midlife crisis often unfolds in 3 stages: the trigger, the search for meaning, and acceptance. Okay, so interesting. So far, we already noticed that there are similarities between a quarter-life crisis and a midlife crisis. It's also the same experience. There is a trigger for the midlife crisis. Well, technically, they do have a trigger. So I remember we had to write, like, for example, we have to journal and reflect on identifying the trigger, because that will definitely happen again when you do experience your midlife crisis. The search for meaning. I think this was also experienced in my quarter life crisis at the very least. I wonder if other people shared a similar experience. And finally, acceptance. So the first, trigger. The trigger for midlife crisis is something, so they put quote unquote something because everyone's trigger is different, that happens that makes you stop and think. It could be a significant birthday, a health scare, loneliness, a career setback, or even a child leaving home. This trigger event can spark a chain of thoughts and emotions leading to a sense of urgency or unease about your life. Okay, so this is interesting because this is much more significant in your quarter life crisis, and I think these are actually valid and experiences that I've observed, like seeing a midlife crisis through like films or videos, etc. So when you hit a certain age, I know some people don't like celebrating their birthday or start to feel uncomfortable about their age at some point. So significant birthdays could be like events where you're not ready to accept a new year. Health scare makes sense because, you know, the older we get, our body becomes more frail. It's starting to not accept certain things that we used to do, you know, when we were younger. Or like, to be honest, I'm afraid that when I become 40, I might not be able to eat certain foods like I can right now. I'm afraid that I won't be able to do things that I want to do right now. So that's why in my late 20s, I'm hoping to just do things or live my best life, which is kind of tying into the quarter life crisis conversation, that I want to do everything that I can now before I regret it. You know, like, for example, yesterday my students and I were talking about Six Flags and roller coasters. I told them I really want to go to Six Flags because I love roller coasters and they're very fun for me. And I would love to ride all of the rides if I can, because I have not visited Six Flags yet, and I would love to ride all the roller coasters before my age catches up and I can't ride them anymore. So there's that. Okay. Loneliness. Okay, that makes sense. That's something I definitely experienced in my quarter life crisis too. Not sure if it can extend and relate to you guys as well. Career setback is something that we've already covered, which with the example I mentioned about like track and field. If it's something that you've done your whole life and it suddenly like changes, or you have to change to a different career, that can definitely be a quarter life crisis. Sorry, not quarter life, midlife crisis. I didn't think about this, but a child leaving home. When I left my parents, I'm pretty sure my parents probably experienced a quarter life crisis because my sister left the house because of college. I left the house because I was going to work. And I'm also planning to leave again for work. So my mom was actually quite sad when I told her I was planning to leave. And she's like, get a different job here. And I'm like, I'm not growing in America or California per se. There's no job offers that's helping me grow. So that's why I'm moving. Okay, and then of course something changes, so it's interesting because when you get to 40, you just don't know which one it will be, I think. Not unless you really know yourself and you are afraid of something certain, so maybe that could become a trigger if you are aware of it, perhaps. Number 2, the search for meaning. Following the trigger, there's usually a period of intense self-reflection and search for meaning and purpose. You may start questioning your life choices or your role in others' lives. It's a time when you start seeking deeper meaning, exploring new interests or hobbies, and considering changes that could bring more fulfillment. So interesting. I feel like this intense period of self-reflection was also being overlapped in your quarter life crisis because it's a time where you're really questioning, like, what is the importance of your life? What do you want to do? Because in my quarter life crisis, at least, my experience was, what was I living for? That was a question I needed to answer, because I just followed whatever, I don't know, life cycle, pathway, whatever you call it. I was just following that and I was comfortable with it. I was afraid to make choices for myself because the last time I made choices, I didn't do so well. So that fear and insecurity of making choices for myself really made me question, like, what are my next move? And the fear that came with that, making a next move. So it was also a fear of making mistakes, because, you know, when I made a mistake when I was 18, which was when I got kicked out of nursing school, the mistake of, like, okay, how come I couldn't submit papers on time? Why didn't I choose to go pursue nursing after I left the program? Stuff like that. Those kind of choices made me feel afraid, you know? So it's just like, that's what I experienced really, like, intensely in my early adulthood. And I feel like for your quarter life crisis, it's really interesting to really self-reflect and think about your meaning and purpose. I feel like, at least this is my answer to it. You guys don't have to agree with me. I feel like I would find my meaning and purpose through journaling, because I feel like I'm able to organize my thoughts and reflect on just, like, writing things aloud. So same thing from quarter life crisis, try to reflect through journaling, or you can talk to someone you trust about it. There's also religion. I feel like I'm not here to, like, you know, use my religion and just shove it to people's face, because I'm not going to do that to you. But I feel like religion does answer that question too. I know some people would say, like, okay, being in this religion is helping me find the questions for that and find meaning for it, and that's good too. So if you find whatever helps you with that, it's definitely good for you. And the final experience for a I keep saying quarter life crisis, I'm sorry, midlife crisis, eventually there is acceptance. Eventually there comes a phase of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up on your past or pursuing future goals, but embracing the life lived so far, making peace with the present, and feeling hopeful about the future. It's when you might feel empowered by finding a new sense of purpose or direction. That's actually very nice. That's a very nice message to look at, because, you know, at some point you will feel acceptance. So embracing it, which is something that I've been doing for my quarter life crisis, because again, it just really depends on your experience and what you're going through, because we're not all the same. For me, at least, my self-reflection and thinking about what my life is so far, self-acceptance has been very, it's been a relieving experience for me. Like, right now, I am at peace with life. Sure, I would love things to do better, and I would have wanted things to be more, I don't know, like, I want to live my best life doing things that I want to do. Like, for example, I'm gonna be a little bit personal right now. I love my life in California because I have my community, I have my best friends, I am very, I'm very relaxed in life. So I'm very, very comfortable right now where I'm sitting. But the thing is, I'm not growing as a teacher anymore. And all of these jobs that I apply to, it's making me feel really insecure, mainly because none of them are giving me job security, and it's always like a competition to get to the top. So I'm just like, I want to be in a place where they really value ESL instructors, and I feel like California doesn't give that much to me. So even looking at places is just competition. You're not guaranteed that you will be needed every semester and that you have a stable job, at least from my perspective, because I did try to apply to some colleges here. So I'm just like thinking to myself, you know, I'd rather be in a different country where I can, you know, embrace that part of me. I've never felt so alive until, in terms of linguistics, until I went to Japan. So my most recent trip, that's when I kind of realized, oh my God, I need to be here. I want to be here. I felt like I was growing, and my excitement for linguistics was just so high over there because I loved immersing myself in the culture and the language. I was like basically steeping myself into it because I do want to learn Japanese, and I've always tried learning it here, especially when I'm driving to work, but it's not working out that well because I get bored of it, you know? I want someone to talk to, I want to engage myself. I am planning to take lessons eventually, so there's that. So that's where I'm kind of standing in my life. It's like I kind of have to give up my comfortability right now, which is heartbreaking because it's like I was looking forward to joining a dance team. I wanted to join the African tango team because they just started, and the teacher kind of like the instructor for that class was interested in me in terms of like joining his group, and I'm like, I wanted to, but unfortunately with this plan of moving, it's like I can't be part of the team anymore, and it can feel kind of sad realizing that kind of stuff because I'm at an age where it's like I'm not allowed to be comfortable yet because I don't have the financial stability to be comfortable. I need to take care of my family and stuff like that. So it's just like I'm in an age where, not just in an age, I'm at an age where I feel like I have some responsibilities to live up to. And these are things that I put on myself more so than my parents putting it onto me. So there's that. So yeah, I'm at a stage of acceptance in my midlife crisis. Hopefully I will have acceptance faster because I feel like so far I've been living my life honestly to myself, even though I have to be selfish of it. My friends don't understand it sometimes when I tell them that I'm being very selfish of my choices in life. It's mainly because I don't want to regret it, and I don't want to have a time in my life where I look back and I'm like, why the hell did I do this? You know? So there's that. Okay, so sorry for that whole spiel. We're gonna go ahead and transition back to the reading. The phrase midlife crisis might come with baggage, but it's a natural phase of a person's journey. It's not about dwelling on the past or fearing the future, but about understanding yourself better and enjoying life with a new fulfilling direction. And I find that is very assuring again, because you know, it's just part of life. We will experience a quarter life crisis. We will experience a midlife crisis. Maybe I shouldn't say a midlife crisis. You might experience multiple midlife crises. So that's something I'm kind of prepared for because my quarter life crisis was not just one experience, it was multiple. So I'm kind of ready to experience multiple midlife crises in the future. So, what are the signs of a midlife crisis? Understanding the signs of a midlife crisis early on can help you address the emotions and questions that come up. Acknowledging your feelings is the first step toward exploring what might be the root cause, and you can use this insight to turn a confusing time into an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Number 1, increased anxiety can signal a midlife crisis. It's natural to worry about life, but these worries may ramp up during a midlife crisis. You might feel more anxious about the future or your place in the world. Okay, so I feel like this is kind of interesting because I'm seeing this through my lens and from what I experienced so far. I already experienced anxiety, like major anxiety about my place in this world, and I experienced that when I went into college. So this was a transitional period where I was kind of questioning what I wanted to be as an adult and what career I wanted to pursue. And I kept coming back to the question of who do you want to be in this life? What do you hope to leave behind when you, inevitably you die? So what are you hoping to cement? Like, what are your carbon footprints? What do you want to leave behind for people to remember you as? Because unfortunately, in history, we don't have the privilege to know everybody's life, which is quite sad. But if there's anything I learned from becoming an English teacher, is that literature kind of shows that the authors are doing their best to leave their carbon footprints behind, to show who they were, what they loved to do in their life, etc. Granted, not all of them did what they wanted to, I think. Maybe that was the temperature of the lifestyle back then. I don't know, but I kind of feel like I learned through these authors' lenses from their past where they wanted something out of life and they couldn't attain it. For me, I learned that I wanted to pursue a life that was authentic for myself, something that I knew that I was going to enjoy and embrace, even though if it would be difficult as life went on. But is as long as it was authentic and genuine for me, that's all that really matters. And I came to just accept that. And it took a long time to accept that thought and that experience until I went through it. So yeah, I don't regret anything in my life right now. Or so far, actually. Even the times where I thought it was, oh my god, this was so bad. Like I did go through a phase in my life where, like, for a couple years where I did regret a certain thing, but I think it came out for good reasons, and I'm able to look back on it, not fondly, granted, but as gratitude. I look back at it and I think, oh, this was a horrible time in my life, but I'm grateful because I'm here, I'm alive, I'm more mature than I used to be, I have more wisdom. So, yeah, it's just, I don't think, maybe I might experience it later, but I don't know. It's good to know now. I give it the benefit of doubt that I will feel anxious in the future, but at the same time, I feel like I might be comfortable at that point, hopefully. My expectation, at the very least, when after reading this, is just like, what do I think will cause me to feel anxious? And the number one thing I would think about is probably moving, finding a place to settle. Maybe I am engaged, maybe I have a boyfriend or a fiance in the future, and we're thinking about what our plans will be with our jobs or careers and what we're gonna do with our lives, you know? In terms of acknowledging my place in the world, I know what it is, because I spent a lot of time just accepting and reflecting on, like, okay, why was I born? Like, I went through a huge spiritual internal reflection on this, so I'm comfortable knowing what my place is in this world. And yeah, I think it's interesting if you guys spend time to understand that too. Maybe it'll make you feel more at peace. At least for me, knowing what my place was in this world and what my job is, no one tells you what it is, just so you know. It's what you decide you'll do with it. So finding my own answer for my place in this world helped me find peace. And I feel like that could help with the anxiety that you may have experienced in your quarter life crisis, and possibly what you will experience in your midlife crisis. Okay, next we have restlessness can accompany a midlife crisis. So feeling restless is another common sign of a midlife crisis. There might be a nagging sense of that something needs to change, but not knowing exactly what. It's a feeling of wanting to jump out of your skin and shake things up. This is quite interesting, because this reminds me of the reading I had of Lindy Sang, Bub's Beauty, what she was formerly known as, and she was my favorite YouTuber in terms of makeup. And this wonderful woman created a book called A Beautiful Mind, A Beautiful Life, and I think she wrote the book in her late 30s, maybe, or mid 30s. This was around the time when she was just about, like, she was pregnant, she was gonna have her second child, and she wrote this book before her second child was born. And I remember reading that she just didn't know what to do with her life at some point, and then she was just allowing herself to be patient. And at one point she had the opportunity to get to know about a POP, which is Pencil of Promise. And this Pencil of Promise was like an organization to help build schools in Ghana, I believe, at the time. So it's like making more schools and education more accessible in Africa, I believe. So she also participated in the event where she created her own school. And what they did is that they provided schools that are safe, that are stable, and they were able to provide technology and education to that we already have in America or UK, whatever it was. But it was just to help have a place that people can be excited for to go to school, etc. But yeah, she just had that feeling come to her suddenly during her dark period and during her quarter life, or maybe even midlife crisis. And it was just quite early, because I think I know she was going through some marital tiffs at the time with her first husband. So she's not married anymore, and I know she's engaged to someone new. But yeah, that's something I kind of reflect on regarding, like, not knowing what is calling out to you. And I feel like that's something will eventually happen to me. I just haven't experienced it yet. Maybe I did. I don't know. I'm just like thinking really hard about it. we'll see when that time comes. Okay, number 3, dissatisfaction with life can prompt a midlife crisis. Okay, yes, that makes sense. You may start feeling dissatisfied with how things are in your life during this time. It could be your job, relationships, or even past decisions. It's a general feeling of disconnect, overwhelm, and discontent, even if things look good on the outside. So, I did experience this in my quarter life crisis, and this was during COVID. I remember complaining non-stop to my friends of how dissatisfied I was with my life, because on the outside it looks good. I was a student. I had like some financial stability because I had school loans that were given to me. So I was okay. I didn't really need a job at that time because I was fully focused on my master's degree, or studying for my master's degree at the time. And I was so dissatisfied for many things because I wanted to work, but I couldn't find a job that was stable for me. I couldn't find a job that was consistent. And I think this is where the root of my problem of wanting to move to Japan came from. It's that jobs are not secure for ESL, EFL teachers in America. I mean, there are people who get lucky, you know, you might find a company that will keep you for long term, but it's kind of rare to find a company where they do treat their employees well. I'm just saying that just because of my own personal experience. So yeah, I want stability in my job where it's consistent, that I can feel comfortable knowing that I have a job that I can go to, nothing's gonna change, nothing's gonna pop up, I know everything. So it's just like I want that stability, because I don't have that stability in my job back then during my my study for my master's degree, my postgrads. I also was in a relationship where I was extremely unhappy with. I was very dissatisfied with my partner at the time, and also with the fact, since it was COVID, I could not be with him. So I was dissatisfied for that as well. And I don't know if there's past decisions in there that made me dissatisfied. But yeah, so it's a general feeling of disconnect or overwhelm. It's like, when you say disconnect, I feel like it's like you're not feeling like you are where you want to be, I feel. Or maybe, I don't know if this is a good expression for it, because I did experience something with dissatisfaction before. I just feel like I'm not myself. And I don't mean it like I'm not in my zone or anything. I just had this feeling where, like, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but I had a lot of moments where I would space out and feel like, you know, I'm not in my body, I'm not myself, I don't feel good being under my skin. I don't know if you guys understand that feeling, but it's just like you feel so overwhelmed with your dissatisfaction in life, and you're so discontent that you kind of feel like you're not here. That's just how I felt. I'm not having an out-of-body experience, but it just felt like, you know, I'm not myself. I'm not under my own skin. I feel like nothing is in my control, or something, it's not like something I can handle. I just had a lot of those moments where I just spaced out a lot, and I am kind of anxious for this to happen again in my midlife crisis, but yeah, I did experience it multiple times in my quarter life crisis, because COVID was one of the reasons, or one of the biggest triggers, that made me feel insecure about the future. Okay, number 4, desire for significant life changes can be a symptom of a midlife crisis. So making substantial changes can suddenly seem appealing. It could be a career shift, relocating to a new place, or exploring new hobbies. A deep request for fulfillment or excitement often drives a desire for change. Okay. This was something I definitely experienced during my quarter life crisis, where I really wanted something to happen. Just craving a direction to take place. So it's interesting to see that it makes sense that in your 40s or 60s you want something to change. So for me, in my quarter life crisis, since I'm in my late 20s already, relocating to a new place is definitely standing out to me. Exploring new hobbies actually popped up to me last year. So I mentioned that I joined a dance community, and that was exploring new hobbies. It was trying to fill in the free time that I had after finishing my postgrad, and just trying to live my best life. And it's also kind of like I'm granting the wish for my teenage self, because the teenage version of me wanted to do ballroom dancing for the longest period of my life. Like, I wanted to learn all of those social dances just because of a video game that I played on my DS Lite at the time called Princess Debut, Princess Debut or Princess Debut. It just made the game made dancing look so fun for me that I wished I had taken dance classes when I was younger. Even though at the time I did not like dancing because I was someone who really believed that I was not graceful. I had 2 left feet, all of that stuff, you know? And my parents, like my mother, always constantly told me, oh, you're walking with 2 left feet, or you're not moving your body like that. And I think those comments were not, you know, those comments didn't criticize me in a way that it was meaningful. It was just pointing out what was bad about me and discouraged me from trying to learn how to dance better. So after finishing my degree for my master's and trying to like see what I'm gonna do with my life, because of course I wanted to do singing and stuff, but at some point singing can just sound tiring once I start fixating on the techniques behind it. Because for me, the moment I start looking at techniques for long periods, I start to hate something and I dislike it. And it's happened multiple times in singing, so that's how I know. And it did happen again in dancing, but we won't go into that much. But in any case, I wanted to fill my free time with dance, and I fell in love with it in 2023. So 2023 was the year of just exploration, of feeling of... Yeah, was it? Yes, 2023 was just a year of just exploring new things about myself, trying new hobbies, meeting new friends, etc. So yeah, I just feel like it's interesting, and I feel like in my 40s or 60s, God forbid that I can't dance again or anymore in my future, because I still would love to dance. I now consider myself like not obsessed. Like I'm not an obsessed dancer, but I'm someone who really like thoroughly enjoys it. So I think I will be exploring a lot of dance classes in my future. So hopefully I will still pursue it by then. I do expect myself to be a much better dancer than I am today. So yeah, I'm really excited for that aspect. So my anxiety kind of stems from finding that field again when I moved to Japan, because I have to start over and find a dance community for sure. Unfortunately, I will not have access, or maybe I will have access to an American dance community. I don't know. US dance styles are not common unless you are in America, as far as I know. I know it will become international ballroom styles, or so yeah, they call it the international ballroom, or the there's another word for European dance style. So that probably might be more popular in Japan, European dance styles. They're different from American ones, so that's one thing that makes me feel a little anxious about, because I haven't really solidified my foundation in ballroom in America yet, but I do know the basics for them all. And yeah, it's just anxiety is waiting for me when I move abroad, but I'm also excited. So yeah, I hope that I do live my life continuously genuine for myself, so it'll become fun. Hans also mentioned the large life change for me to go dancing is something really big for me too. Oh yeah, I noticed that, Hans. I wondered about that for you because I noticed you're very proactive with dance. You are definitely competing. You are joining a lot of like competitions. I've been seeing your videos. You have definitely improved. You're also dancing with amazing dancers, and I envy you that. I envy you for that, because the thing for me is like I want to dance with really good dancers, but I just keep preventing myself from doing so. I feel like I am not a good follower. Like, sure, I can be fun as a creative dancer, but I know that I'm not good in terms of, you know, getting my anchor steps. A lot of the times my anchor steps are not getting in, and I'm trying to warm myself back into getting my anchor steps because I keep taking too many breaks from West Coast Swing. But yeah, it's just like that insecurity is the reason why I'm just like, I don't want to dance with really good dancers because I feel bad. Like I want to, like when, for example, when Leo Lorenzo showed up to our dance studio, or when they showed up to Jack and Jill, I was like, I really wanted to dance with him, but I'm like, I can't, he's too good. Like I feel intimidated. I'm not good enough of a dancer to dance with him. So I'm just like, I really want to improve myself before I dance with these really like, you know, these awesome dancers, because it's just like the fear of just Not being able to dance, just like the basic stuff, is so frustrating to me. So yeah, I'm really happy for you that you are proactive in dance and that you're pursuing it, because it looks fun for you and like you're having a great time, and I'm happy for you, you know? If only I could do that more often, because remember back then when I used to go with you guys to all of these events, I want to, but the only problem is that I'm working now and working this job where I have to go to LA and work long hours. Yeah, it's just very frustrating that I can't prioritize or put more time into dance like I used to back then. So I really miss it. Also, Shobi Kira, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we finished our discussion on dance. I'm gonna move on to possible cause of a midlife crisis. We have like 5 minutes, maybe. Maybe I'll even push for another 10 minutes. Hopefully, Instagram does not disconnect me. The possible causes of a midlife crisis. Whether or not there's a biological explanation for the changes many of us seem to go through as we approach midlife remains to be seen. But the causes of a midlife crisis can often be linked to a combination of factors that are unique to each of us. These include, but aren't limited to, the following. Number 1, external triggers. Sometimes societal expectations, cultural norms, or peer influence can nudge you toward a midlife crisis. The world around us often has set paths and milestones that we're made to believe we must follow. When life doesn't align with these, it can cause feelings of dissatisfaction. That is very true. Definitely have been there. In terms of COVID, for example, like I knew that if I wanted to do EFL or ESL, I had to move to another country. But how could I when I was stuck in America doing my post-grad program, and also when COVID was happening, it's like I can't even travel, you know, can't live my best life there. I felt huge discontent, even for a long time, because with the technology that we have, oh thank God for our technology, that we were able to overcome COVID within 2 years, you know? So it's really interesting. So I kind of knew that it wasn't gonna happen for a long period, but I was prepared that, you know, that maybe there might be changes in jobs or careers, which is nice because in this time now we have more opportunities to work online and then be able to travel. And I feel like that's so great that we don't have to be in the office in person. We have another way that we could communicate with people if the job allows it. I kind of noticed some companies do not like to do online stuff, so they still insist that you meet in person, which I understand why. But I feel like, you know, it's just nice if we could just be elsewhere while also working. That's nice, actually. Anyways, I fear for the future in terms of Japan because it is a different culture. So I'm kind of nervous about the societal expectation and cultural norms if I start to get, you know, comfortable there. I know for a fact that I might stay in Japan because it's a place where I definitely want to be in. But at the same time, I feel like I want to stay in America too. So I'm kind of afraid of where I will stay. But I'm open to staying to either of these two countries. But yeah, we'll see. Number 2, major life events. So events such as divorce, job loss, or kids leaving home can trigger a midlife crisis, leading to a period of self-reflection and questioning. I actually wonder about this because I'm pretty sure my parents probably experienced job loss or kids leaving home probably triggered them. Because I mean, there was a point where both my sister and I were not home. It was just my parents at home. They took care of Jack, my rabbit, for me. So it makes me wonder like what their experiences were regarding my sister and I when we left the house. I know my parents probably did not cope really well regarding like me when I left the house, because I remember when I was leaving to when I was leaving to Indonesia for 6 months, my parents were very much against me leaving because they were telling me stuff to make me change my mind not to leave the house. They were not very supportive, I'm gonna be honest, about me moving to Japan. I mean to Korea, no, I wasn't say Korea, Japan, Indonesia. Because they really felt like, you know, if I have no one there, no support network, then what? What am I gonna do next? And they also kept bringing up unfortunately, my biology as a woman. They're like, oh, you can't protect yourself, blah, blah, blah. So I got so pissed off from them telling me that I took private lessons for self-defense, so I knew how to fight. So right before I went to Indonesia, I was trained, so I knew how to fight and protect myself. So if ever that led to that event, I knew what to do. So yeah. All right. So, yeah, I wonder about that when my time comes to experience something like this in the future. 3. Unresolved past issues. Unresolved issues from the past, like challenging events during childhood, young adulthood, or unfulfilled dreams and goals, can resurface during midlife, leading to a crisis. That makes sense because you are gonna. I remember that whenever I went to. Sorry, let me rephrase this. I remember when I was in nursing school, I had a lot of like elderly geriatrics patients who would always say things like, "You're young, sweetheart. Remember to live your best life, because there will come a time at my age where you'll look back and you'll regret things that you never got to do." So hearing this message from someone much older and wiser from me, it really I think for me, that's just when it happened, where I realized, those words really helped me get through my quarter life crisis. And I feel like I've lived my life genuine to myself, honestly. I live an honest life for myself. So I think so far, I'm satisfied with what I've been doing or the choices that I've been making for myself, because I feel like my life has been so fulfilled. Granted, and also knock on wood for saying this, but if I were to die in the next week or in the next coming days or so, would I regret anything in my life? I would say no, because I was able to live such a fulfilling life for myself. I was able to experience being a singer, which is like my childhood dream. Like, sure, of course, I didn't get to compete on TV and show the world on that, but I was able to compete in terms of like I was recognized for my singing abilities when I was in high school, so I'm proud of that moment. I am seen for things I do in my current life. Like, I know my colleagues praise me for things that I do, and I'm grateful for them to have, like, to make me feel like I am a valuable asset and colleague to them. I have friends who comfort me and assure me of my skills as a dancer and singer as well, because I have major, I'm very hard on myself when it comes to my passions a lot. So it takes time for me to give myself that peace. And yeah, it's just like, so far, I am very satisfied with my life. I did everything that I wanted so far, but of course, I still want to do more. So yeah, so it's like, what am I gonna do with all this time I have while I'm still living? Of course, I'm gonna do things that I want to do and fill up more, but so far, so good. I lived a very grateful life. I'm happy with everything that happened. So I'm just at that phase in my life. And I feel like I've resolved my issues in my past. So I told you guys, like, in my quarter life crisis, a lot of things from my childhood traumas and my teenage traumas, whatever, I've addressed them now as an adult. Or like in my mid-20s to late 20s, I've addressed all of my dissatisfaction in life, I think is the best way to say it. So yeah, I'm very happy where I am in life. And hopefully I will not have unresolved past issues when I'm in my 40s or 60s, because I constantly bring them up to myself in my 20s. And even up to now, I always ask myself, is this something I want to do? Is this something I'll regret? And stuff like that. So since I always reflect using this mindset, I feel like, or hopefully, I will not revisit the past issue when I'm older. So yeah. 4. Aging related concerns. Aging is a natural part of life, but it can bring about concerns that trigger a midlife crisis. Physical changes such as menopause or declining health in yourself or loved ones can spark a flurry of emotions and questions. Yes, this is something I do expect, because this has been shown many times through movies and films and TV shows. This is something I kind of expect that I never stop talking about menopause, because it's something only like mainly women experience. So my friends and I used to joke about this when we have our mothers acting up and acting really strange. We would say, "Oh, it's the menopause, isn't it?" We don't say it to our parents, but we just talk about it behind their back. So that is something I am kind of worried about. Of course, is like, how am I gonna cope when I get to this time or phase of my life? Like, how am I gonna react to this, like this inevitable age-related experience and concern? So yeah, I wonder how life will be like when I get to that, when I do get to that point in my life. And the last one for this example is identifying questions. Midlife often brings questions around personal identity and self-worth. You might start wondering about your accomplishments, purpose, and the value you bring to the world. Yeah. Again, for myself, I feel like my identity has already been resolved, and thank God for that, because I dealt with it in my early 20s. So I feel like the reason why I got kicked out of nursing school, like, granted, yes, it was such a heartbreaking time for myself, but it was so good for me. Now that I'm like, what? I'm 10 years away. Like, there's a 10-year gap between me who went and experienced it and me now who went through it. And I just realized Instagram kicked me off again. So yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna finish the rest of it here on my YouTube channel. What I learned about my identity, I experienced it when I was 18, right? So I was able to understand what is, let me see. Also, let me try and see if I can fix my Instagram. Let's attempt this. Okay, let's try to attempt this while I'm thinking about my word. Give me 1 second. And I'm also gonna... I know, I see, yeah, I know. I saw it too, dude. I'm just like, dang it. I wonder if Instagram's working now. I just copied the stream key. Yeah, that's the one thing I hate about this, is that I am updating the stream key for Instagram through Streamlabs just now, and it says it's updated successfully, but there's no update happening on the browser, so yeah, it's fine. I'm just gonna finish it up here on YouTube anyway, so thank you for the heads up, Hans. Anyways, so the question regarding personal identity and self-worth, you might start wondering about your accomplishments, purpose, and the value you bring to this world. That's normal for me because I've already experienced this early on when I was younger, so I would say thank God for nursing and not ending up becoming a nurse, because that's the experience I needed in terms of like addressing, that's what I was looking for, in terms of addressing this question about my identity. What am I going to do in this world? What is my purpose? What do I want to become, etc. All of that was answered, or all of these questions were brought up because of not making it as a nurse. And it's such a traumatic experience for me that I feel like there's a part of me that died that day. And I think it was the ignorant part of me, the version of me that was comfortable with following rules. So I did, and I kind of felt like I was a child all over again, because I went through a rebellious phase of my life where I was like, I don't want to listen to anyone but myself. This is my life, blah, blah, blah. Which, valid, yes. You should be selfish about your choices in life, because you live that life, you will live with your choices. So it makes sense to be protective of what you want to be in life, I would say, per se. And it's important to identify who you are and know your self-worth early on, if you can. So I do want to bring up that it's important to have these discussions and normalize them, because as you grow older, you want to be in a point in your life where you don't regret what you lived, right? Because I want to grow up knowing that, you know, at one point I'll look back and be like, when I have grandchildren, I can tell them that I lived a very satisfactory or satisfied life, whatever. I lived a very happy life. I have no regrets, whatever. I'm happy. So, yeah. Okay, so next time, I think tomorrow, we will talk about how to deal with a midlife crisis and 7 tips to help you cope. So I do enjoy reading this stuff and just having a discussion with you guys, because right now, for me at least, I'm reflecting on things that I have done. And I'm also learning from things that I already covered when I was younger, and seeing that, you know, there's a possibility that these problems will turn up again when I'm older and when I do experience my midlife crisis. So I also feel more educated and prepared for when that time happens. But yeah, I think that's about it for today's session. So we are gonna continue reading this tomorrow. So awesome. I have more content to cover tomorrow and more discussion with you guys. So with that being said, I am gonna skip the question portion because I did write questions here, but we didn't have time to answer them. So we have reached our questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions portion of today's stream. Let me know what you guys think. Hans, if you have any feedback, if you'd like to share, if this stream was interesting. I would have loved to have more of a discussion if we had more people here as well. And of course, I love hearing your thoughts on this. Yeah, I loved hearing your thoughts on this. Thank you, Hans. Also, I'm really annoyed that this portion keeps showing up. Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and like just fold that. Or just do a blank page. Boom. There you go. You know what? I can just close the chat box. Hold on. Instagram. Boom. Okay. So I put it away for now because it's broken. It's not working anymore. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully my stream key was not showing because it just takes a portion of it, not the whole thing. But yeah, anyways, that's about it for today's stream. So annoying. This whole experience for this. Ugh. Anyways, my annoyance is more towards when I lose my Instagram stream. It always closes without my choice. It just does that. Anyways, Han said, cheers, great stream. Like, it's a good time to allow me to reflect. Aw, thank you. Yes, I'm glad we are actually in that phase where we are reflecting a lot, because I mean we are getting closer and closer to getting older. It's inevitable. I feel like the time that we do have the opportunity to think and reflect on our life so far is good. It's healthy. As for myself, I have a very nihilistic perception of life where I just always think, you know, I'm gonna die anyways, so what? For good reasons. My nihilistic perception is more towards of making choices where it's good for me, it benefits me, it makes my life feel more fulfilled. Of course, like, if it benefits me, I'm the kind of person that wants to share that joy with people, so if it makes me happy, you know, well, that I will try to make you guys happy too, or the people that matter to me, because I spread my joy, I share it with people. So, yeah, that's kind of how, at least I see myself in this. But yeah, I hope today's conversation practice was fun and interesting, and just reflecting on your experience or what you think or believe or learned about midlife crisis, or midlife crises. So yeah, we can talk more about that tomorrow in tomorrow's stream, because I want to spend the morning finishing some work because I do have plans to go out today, so there's that. Alright, so thank you guys for your feedback. If you have any other comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, you can always reach out to me on Discord. You can find the link in my description box below on YouTube, or if you are still on my Instagram, you can find it in the link tree that I provided there. Just click it and you'll find something that says Discord and join the group there, and you'll be in. So I go live Tuesday through Thursday, 5 a.m. PDT PST, and in English for Everyone Grammar, it takes place every Tuesday. I will eventually make my round back to address the lessons that we did cover and focus on some conversation practice in the future. But yeah, other than that, I'm just taking it easy for myself for now because I'm still going through all of my recovery. Like, I still have a stuffy nose. So yeah, and also my insomnia is still kind of bad. So yeah, things are slowly starting to get better for me. So hopefully my activity on the Homebody Cafe reflects that. So apologies again if I'm kind of flaky right now. It's just an adjustment period for myself. So yeah, that's the end of today's stream. Thank you guys for joining me and just listening in, and hopefully we get to talk more again and do it all again tomorrow. So I wish you all a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Drink some water, stay hydrated, eat something healthy, and get lots of rest, and wishing you all good health too. Other than that, I wish you all a great day ahead of you, and I'll see you again tomorrow at the same time as usual. Hey guys! Bye!